Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? Excuse me, it's me again, Brian, aka Gamer 55551 and I am back with a my 2 cent Nintendo / gaming video this week for the week of December 26th to December 2nd though. Hopefully you guys, enjoyed your Thanksgiving, you took advantage of whatever Black Friday or Cyber Monday was offering and everything like that. Hopefully you got the gift that you want to give for whatever it's a loved one, friend, or family member, whatever that might be and everything like that. But anyway, we got 4 stories to cover, including Sega's response to Sonic Superstars and supposedly sales not being at the level Sega had hoped for though. A comment made about GamePass, basically not only trying to push it onto other systems, but giving the impression that some believe that this is sort of basically pushing, basically try and give the signal that Microsoft might go third party and all. An unfortunate report that seems to indicate the possibility that Free Radical might be shutting down and everything like that. And supposedly Sony signed a deal for the developers of Stellar Blade to make them supposedly a second party studio and everything like that. If you're interested in where I got the source of these information though, links will be in the description down below, so you're watching this on YouTube. But before we get started, I like to do what I like to call the quick my 2 cents, stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details though. Basically, the creators of the Nier Automata and Nier Replica series, or that developer known for wearing that odd mask and everything like that, is supposedly working on a new project at this time though, and that it's not related to Nier, but they are admitting that at some point they might do a new entry into the series. I'm definitely down and curious to see what they have created and what their next game might be. I think some of the games they've done is, I think it's the card RPG type game. I think it's called Yoka Card. Apologize if I'm not saying the name correctly or anything like that. But still, it's nice to hear that they're working on their next game. I am curious at what point, whether there will be another entry into the Nier series though. That would be really neat if they do another entry and everything like that. We also learned that supposedly in Europe, a rating has been set for the Borderlands collection, or called Pandora's Box, for the Nintendo Switch. Supposedly it will contain pretty much all the Borderlands games, Borderlands the first one, Borderlands 2, Borderlands pre-sequel, and of course Borderlands 3, along with I think the Telltale Borderlands games and everything like that. What seems to be not into this collection is basically the latest entry, or the spin-off of it, Tiny Tina Wonderland, is not basically in this collection or anything like that. Maybe maybe a port of Tiny Tina Wonderland will eventually make its way to the Nintendo Switch at some point. I mean, we're pretty much bringing almost all the Borderlands games to the Nintendo Switch. I mean, recently they just brought Borderlands 3 over, so it may not be out of the realm of possibility that Tiny Tina Wonderland excuse me, could eventually make its way over to the Nintendo Switch. But for now, this is what supposedly has been rated for, at least in Europe. At this time, either Gearbox or 2K have made an official announcement at this moment. We also learned that Ubisoft had to recently apologize. Supposedly, there have been reports that there was a pop-up ad during those who were playing like Assassin's Creed Odyssey and everything like that. And according to Ubisoft, they're saying that this was a technical error behind the pop-up ad though. Obviously, this brought up the whole issue about, the live service and a lot of things that not everybody has been a fan of, and most have kind of criticized, Ubisoft in the past, ranging from recurring user spendings to DRM and everything like that, and this kind of gave that impression right away, although they're claiming that this was just a technical error and all. We also learned that supposedly Activision and Blizzard are merging supposedly at a impressive rate and everything like that, at least according to what Xbox is doing. Now, this is sort of interesting because it was, I think, a month or so, it might have been back a little bit more, when it was Phil Spencer talked about, because the merger didn't happen as soon as they thought, certain things it might take a little bit longer, such as seeing, Activision Blizzard titles maybe make its way onto Game Pass, or even certain games maybe being backwards compatible and everything like that, which, I mean, that's kind of interesting and all, but at the same time, supposedly an Xbox executive sent basically the internet in a frenzy when they put up like a random post which looked like the symbol for the Xbox 360, and many are speculating and wondering, is this a sign of Activision Blizzard games from the 360 era making their way over to, you know, Game Pass or anything like that, or maybe other games, Activision Blizzard games being backwards compatible. So we'll see what happens, basically whether this turns out to be true or not, though. Although they are saying, Phil Spencer did say to sort of keep an eye out for the Game Awards and everything like that. So maybe an announcement there, who knows. We also learned that Ubisoft has officially announced Beyond Good and Evil 20th anniversary. This was after supposedly it accidentally got leaked in a way, so it basically, the cat was out of the bag, and so they had to officially announce this and all. Right now, no platforms has been announced though, and it remains to be seen if this one will come to the Nintendo Switch, although it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility though. We also learned that supposedly the Nintendo Switch is going to, in an odd way, get a tie-in exclusive to basically a Batsuit. And this one's based off of Robert Pattinson, who played Batman in the Matt Reeves movie, the 2022, The Batman. And also, it's sort of odd to see that, but supposedly right now it will only be available on the Switch version for the time being, but it will supposedly come to other systems and everything like that. Speaking of the Switch version, the game is already out for the Nintendo Switch, and reports, on a side note on this, reports seem to indicate that the game's getting sort of a mixed bag. Mostly a lot of this is pointing towards Arkham Knights running on the Nintendo Switch, and judging by some of the footage that has recently come out about it, I would say this. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but I'm not saying it's 100% perfect either, and I'm not completely shocked that compromises were made to get Arkham Knights running on something like the Nintendo Switch and everything like that. But I've yet to try the game out. I've only seen, you know, footage that's been out on YouTube, so I'll have to try the game out and see for myself if I'm running into the same situation or seeing the same thing as those folks who got their hands on the Arkham trilogy for the Nintendo Switch. We also learned that basically Level 5 had their own streaming. Basically, it's called Level 5 Vision. They had certain announcements here and there of certain games that they showed off. One, I think they had to clarify, and I think that was the game Deca Police, and basically it was announced, it was supposedly coming out 2025, but they're saying 2024, although the Professor Labyrinth game, if I'm saying the name correctly, supposedly will be out in 2025, to say the least. And that kind of has led to speculations of whether or not this is a sign that they're planning to bring it to the Switch successor, or Switch 2, or whatever the case may be, or it could be a cross-gen title, though. I mean, what they announced, at least from what I read, they announced, it's not bad, but I would love for them to do like maybe a spiritual successor to games like Dark Cloud or Rogue Galaxy. I would be down if they do something like that, though. We also learned that a recent report came out that seems that kids these days want more in-game currencies over physical media this holiday, though. Maybe I'm gonna, this is probably gonna be the old man yell at cloud situation, but I kind of feel it's kind of sad when you hear something like that, though. I mean, to hear that kids today want basically in-game currency over an actual game or everything like that, it kind of, to me, it kind of brings up criticism of what direction the gaming industry has been heading lately and everything like that. So, but again, the times are different, though. I'm more of the generation that grew up during the NES era compared to today's generation and everything like that. And last but not least, Dragon Dogma, or Capcom, held a stream or a video, or a live stream of basically Dragon Dogma 2, talking about a lot of things, including basically from the new classes and all, to the release date, which, according to, for what I understand, the release date is set to come out around basically come out on March 21st, 2024. The only other game that will be out around that time is basically the other game is Princess Peach Showtime. Honestly, I don't really see that posing a threat to Dragon Dogma 2 or anything like that. I'm not saying the Princess Peach Showtime game is going to be bad, but if I had to choose which one I'm definitely looking forward to most, I would say Dragon Dogma 2 over basically Princess Peach Showtime. I mean, I'll still plan to get both, but I think Dragon Dogma 2 is the one I'm really looking at the most at this time, though. And who knows? I mean, maybe with it running on the RE engine, maybe this can open the idea to other games. Like, why not a Dino Crisis? Why not Breath of Fire? Why not a Strider game or something like that? Have these games that utilizes the Unreal Engine. If they could get, you know, the Ghouls and Goblin game running on it, though, I would like to see those franchises get another shot on the RE engine. Or, say, Lost Planet. Let's see them bring that back as well. And in the movie and TV show part of the Quick My 2 Cent, we are learning that a writer for the Loki TV show, or for season 1, and the Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, Michael Warden, has now been picked to basically write the upcoming Avengers Kang Dynasty, though. This followed reports that came out earlier that seemed to indicate that the original person who did Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was pretty much supposedly let go, though, and followed by the report that the director, the person who was going to direct the movie, has now dropped out, though this is the same person who's doing the sequel to Shang-Chi and Legends of the Ten Rings, and doing one I think called Wonder Man for Disney Plus. There were reports indicating that that Marvel might drop the Kang Dynasty or do something different, but it sounds like they're moving full speed ahead of it. That said, there's no director attached at this time, and the movie won't be out until supposedly, I believe they're aiming for I think a 2026, or I think that's when that movie will come out. So it's going to be a while until we hear more about that one. Not to mention, there's the whole issue with Jonathan Major and the whole situation with his legal trouble, and it remains to be seen if Marvel is going to still stick with him or not, given the whole legal situation he's in this time. We also saw some first photos of coming out for Amazon Prime's Fallout series and all that just recently was published by several outlets and everything like that. And it looked like, judging from what's been out so far, though, it seems as though it looks promising at this time, at least according to how I'm looking at it. But I still think it's kind of too early to tell whether this will be good or not, or anything like that. So we'll see how this one is going to be. I mean, it might be as good as what The Last of Us or the Mario Brothers movie was, or, you know, Castlevania. It might get a mixed response, like, say, the Halo show on Paramount Plus, which is getting a second season, which will be out in February. We'll see how that one plays out, to be exact. Or it could get a negative response, like, say, some of the Resident Evil show did on Netflix before they got that one canceled. So we'll see how this one looks and everything like that. We also saw supposedly a bit of a teaser for Shadow for the upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie that's aiming for December of next year and all. Obviously, production came to a halt due to, you know, the writer's strike and the actor strike and everything like that. But it does seem like there's just I'm looking forward to this one. I'm hoping a trailer will drop soon, though. I do think the first two movies were good. I mean, again, isn't the greatest. I won't treat it as the greatest thing since sliced bread, but it was still good. Nevertheless, remains to be seen if Jim Carrey will return for this third outing or anything like that. I thought he did a really good job playing Dr. Eggman / Robotnik, but we'll see if he makes it into this third movie or not. And although in sort of in a movie or TV part, this one was picked up by The Hollywood Reporter, and this had to do with a comment Elon Musk recently said in an interview with the New York Times. Now, for the record, I'm not a fan of Elon Musk. I'm not a fan of someone who just relies on shock value and everything like that. And if some of you are fully aware of, recently Elon Musk came under fire over a tweet that he supported that was very anti-Semitic, to the point that advertisers started to pull out and everything like that. Well, recently he made a comment when was interviewed about all the situation, about how not only X, formerly known as Twitter, I'm still referring to it as Twitter, basically not only did he started talking about how they could lose money, but also called out other folks like Bob Iger of Disney, even going as far as telling folks to basically go F themselves and everything like that. And when I heard that, to me, Elon Musk making that comment, it makes as much sense as the infamous Don Matrix comment, where he said, if you don't have an internet connection, we have a system for you. That's the Xbox 360. Or Patrick Sirloin, if I'm saying the name correctly, former executive at EA, who made a comment when backlash over the reveal trailer for Battlefield 5, when he says, if you don't like it, don't buy it, which, well, that's true, and people chose not to pre-order it, and that kind of doomed that game from the start. And that comment myself is, well, that Elon Musk made, yeah, that's one way to burn some bridges right there. I mean, again, I know some are going to disagree with me on this. Some might view this as a political statement, but I'm no fan of Elon Musk in any shape and any form. And at this point, I just think he's just turning into, pardon my language, an attention whore. That's pretty much what he has just reduced himself at this point. At least that's how I'm viewing it, though. Okay, with the quick my 2 cent part now done, along with the movie and TV show part, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with the PlayStation exclusive, or was a multi-platform release before it became PlayStation exclusive, is the game Stellar Blade. Now, this was one of the exclusives that was announced for, the PlayStation and so forth, along with other games, like Final Fantasy 16 and Forspoken, which, well, let's just say for those 2 games, I would say Forspoken not as well as they would have hoped for. Final Fantasy 16, I would say probably did better than Forspoken, but even, depending on how you look at it, though, Square Enix has said it hadn't met their expectations, although there are plans for an expansion on this one. Stellar Blade is kind of interesting because at one point it was considered to be a multi-platform release until Sony managed to secure the rights for this title. Now, there have been some criticisms about exclusivity, at least on Sony's part, mostly because of the idea of them paying companies to keep, games off of their rival platforms and everything like that. And that kind of has brought up the whole exclusivity issue compared to how Nintendo did with Bayonetta 2, where they were willing to 100% fully fund that game to make it happen. Well, now it seems as though the developers behind the game have now announced that they have now officially become a second-party studio for Sony, though. In an article from PlayStation Lifestyle, it says that it says Stellar Blade developer reportedly becomes Sony's first Korean second-party studio. Stellar Blade PS5 developer Shift Up has reportedly formalized an agreement with Sony Interactive Entertainment to become its first Korean second-party studio. Sony has previously signed an agreement to publish Stellar Blade exclusively on the PS5. The game was originally announced as a multi-platform title called Project Eve. The report of the second-party development contracts comes from Korean news site Game CHOSUN. According to a translation of the article, the agreement between Shift Up and Sony was signed on November 24th. The article claims that alongside handing over Stellar Blade's publishing right to Sony, the studio has joined SIE second-party partner program. However, there's no mention of any other projects beyond Stellar Blade, though. It points out that the game was expected to be released sometime in 2023, but they expect that window will be released, though. The other side also points out that new information will be shared at a later date and all. So it's kind of interesting to see this studio decided that they want to now be a second-party studio with Sony and everything like that. And we'll have to see if this pans out very well in the end for Sony, to be exact. We have seen some gameplay footage of Stellar Blade, and I will say right now what they have showed seems very promising, at least from what I've seen so far. But we won't know until we eventually gets our hands on that game. So time will tell to see how that one plays out, but it certainly has caught my attention. So Overall, it's very interesting to see this studio now become a second-party studio for Sony and all. It will be very interesting to see how Stellar Blade does when it's eventually released on the PS5. And if the game does well, it'll be interesting to see what other things this Korean studio can come up with, though, especially for the PS5 and all, and any future, PlayStation projects and everything. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one has to do with, unfortunately, a report coming out about what's going on with Free Radical and the possibility that they are more and more likely could be closed and everything. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my 2 cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at Free Radical. Now, as most of you are aware of, Free Radical was originally a studio that existed back during, the PS2, GameCube, Xbox, and even the PS3 and 360 era. They were made up formerly of former folks who worked at Rare, who did the game GoldenEye, which would revolutionize first-person shooters. They were known for the games such as, the TimeSplitters series, the original, TimeSplitter 2, TimeSplitter 3, Future Perfect, Second Sign, and also another game, Haze, which unfortunately would bomb and eventually lead to the closure of Free Radical. Now entered in Embracer Group, which would work to resurrect THQ and be known as THQ Nordic, and they would basically resurrect Free Radical and purchase the rights to TimeSplitter. This led to the hope that the possibility that TimeSplitters could get a second lease on life and everything like that. Then came, earlier this year, the $2 billion deal that fell apart that Embracer Group was part of. Since then, it's been hard times for Embracer Group, as there were reports of several studios, unfortunately, facing its closure, including ranging from Voltron, that would later be closed following this deal falling apart, along with the Saints Row reboot not meeting the expectations that they had hoped for, to the possibility of them selling off Gearbox and everything like that. Well, now it seems as though Free Radical might be a studio that could be ending up on the chopping block as well, as part of a restructuring effort on Embracer Group's part. In an article from GameIndustry.biz, which posted a update though, excuse me, it says that, quote, Embracer Group is poised to shut down Free Radical Design on December 11th. As reported by VGC, Video Game Chronicles, per people familiar with the matter, the decision was confirmed by PLAION, VP of Worldwide Studio and Talent, VI Company email. As we move through the consolidation process and face the potential close of Free Radical Design on December 11th, 2023, I want to express my gratitude for you for your commitment and remarkable work you've done and still keep doing, he said. This person said, the news comes 20 days after it was reported that TimeSplitter Maker could be closed per Embracer's evaluation of the studio. Pre-UK law staffers must be consulted at least a month before any layoff. There's still a possibility that Free Radical could stay open if a third party acquires it though. Following this report, though, an update on this article was made to GameIndustry.biz, and it said, quote, Embracer has denied the report and said that an email confirming that Free Radical Design will close on December 11th was not sent out, nor was a statement released for the decision. So it remains to be seen at this moment right now if Free Radical will get the chopping block or not though. But honestly, given where Embracer Group is right now and given the whole situation after that $2 billion deal fell apart and everything, I would not be completely surprised if Free Radical is shut though, and it is a little bit unfortunate. It would have been nice to see supposedly reports claiming that they were doing a remake of the original TimeSplitter, and it would have been nice if they could have revived that series and everything like that. I do have fond memories of playing it on the Nintendo GameCube and everything, along with Second Sign, and also it would be nice if they could have brought that series back and everything like that. But given where Embracer Group is right now, it wouldn't surprise me if that studio ultimately is shut down and all. Again, we'll have to wait and officially see if that happens on December 11th. Embracer Group is denying that at this time, but we'll find out. Hopefully by December 11th, we'll find out to see if this report turns out to be true or not. So overall, I would say I would not be completely shocked if Free Radical is shut down by Embracer Group, given the current situation Embracer Group is in right now and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3, and this one has to do with a comment made about in terms of wanting to put Game Pass on pretty much a lot of systems, including PlayStation and Nintendo. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of my 2 cent video, and for this one, we're going to be talking about an interesting statement that was made in regards of Game Pass on other systems, which recently just got an update as on that restatement in as the recording of this video. Now, one of the things that Microsoft has really been pushing since basically Phil Spencer have taken over was basically the whole Game Pass, subscription services, and so forth, though. And Game Pass seems to have been doing pretty well for Microsoft and so forth. Same with basically, and it's basically been pushing on from the PC to their Xbox consoles and everything like that, though. Well, recently, there was basically during the whole FTC versus Microsoft situation regarding the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, there was certain documents that came out that showed that there was an attempt to try to bring Game Pass to other systems, particularly, the PlayStation and the Nintendo systems and all. And a recent statement made by one of the employees, though, basically gave this impression that they were not going to give up on doing that. In an article first posted on Pure Xbox, before I get to the other story though, it says that, quote, Xbox is constantly talking about making its games more accessible to players around the world, and with this in mind, the company's CFO has reinstated the company's mission to get first-party releases and Game Pass on every screen they can play. During a Wells Fargo TMT summit, he explained that this goal even includes platforms like Nintendo and PlayStation. They point out it's worth nothing seriously in the pipeline, though, but it's something Microsoft would supposedly like to achieve in the long run. The statement this person said was, quote, this means smart TVs, this means mobile devices, this means what we would have thought of as of competitors in the past like PlayStation and Nintendo. Basically, in the lead up to its recent acquisition of Activision Blizzard, Microsoft offered a 10-year deal to the competitor and expanded xCloud service, though. It's mentioned that on a number of occasions as well, it won't be cutting support for existing game communities on other platforms and everything like that. Well, following this statement from the CFO, Phil Spencer basically was asked about this, and he sort of weighed in and points out came from an article. This is from Pure Xbox, but it points out that this was a spot he made on Windows Central in a new interview today, and confirmed that Microsoft doesn't have any plans to bring Game Pass to PlayStation to PlayStation or Nintendo devices, at least right now. He said, quote, I'll start by saying we have no plans to bring Game Pass to PlayStation or Nintendo. It's not in our plans. In the same response, Spencer went on to discuss the importance of Xbox consoles and a desire to continue to innovate for people who made a commitment to our hardware platform, pointing out that Xbox Game Pass has been an important part of Xbox console's identity, and the team will continue to innovate in the console space. He said, quote, when I think about investing in things like Game Pass and xCloud gaming, crossplay and cross-save, and ID at Xbox, all of these things. I want to continue to innovate so people on our console feel like we're making investment in console that match their commitment they're making to us though. So obviously the plans of it, Xbox coming to, you know, PlayStation or Nintendo seems to be out of the cards, at least at this time or everything like that. But if they were, let's just say for argument's sake, they do decide that, okay, we want to bring it, we found a way to bring it to basically like say the Nintendo Switch or the Switch successor or the PS5. Even if Microsoft were to do that, even if they wanted to bring it to these consoles though, I still think that there may be a couple of caveats to that though, that version of Game Pass might be different than from the version that you would get if you were on, you know, doing Game Pass VIPC or on the Xbox console or so forth. So I think there would be some difference between the different versions of Game Pass if Game Pass were to come to the Switch or the PlayStation or for that system. Obviously, I'm not surprised Phil Spencer responded to this though. I think it would be tough to sell to Nintendo because Nintendo wants, you know, their own ecosystem. Same with PlayStation and all. So it doesn't really surprise me. I mean, even if what the CFO is saying is true and they still want to try to bring it over, I think it's going to be a hard sell. Again, it's not out of the realm of possibility, and Microsoft and Nintendo do have a good relationship and everything like that, but I don't foresee Game Pass happening anytime soon on those systems, to be exact. So overall, I would say I'm not surprised Phil Spencer responded to this though. The idea of Game Pass being on something like the PS5 or Nintendo Switch or the Switch successor, I mean, it sounds like an interesting idea, but even if they did find a way to bring it in, I wouldn't be surprised if there were some caveats to it or some sort of conditions or certain things changed or anything like that for those versions should Game Pass ever come to the PlayStation systems or Nintendo systems in general. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our fourth and final part, and this one has to do with basically Sonic Superstars and Sega not being happy with the sales numbers and everything like that, or sales figures to be exact. So we'll take a quick break and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and this one has to do with the video game Sonic Superstars. Now, as most of you are aware, October was pretty packed to a certain degree. It did have two major releases back in October though. One being Spider-Man 2, and the other one being Super Mario Bros. Wonder, a new entry into the 2D Mario game as well. But another game that came out was Sonic Superstars that came out basically came out supposedly 3 days before Super Mario Bros. Wonder came out. And while the game supposedly did okay, at least if you look at the Satara/NPT charts, it's clear it did not meet the expectations that Sega had originally had hoped for and all. In an article from GameIndustry.biz, it reads that, quote, Sega has shared that Sonic Superstars didn't meet sales expectations following the game's launch. In a financial briefing from its H1 results published earlier this month, Sega's president and CEO said Sonic Superstars experienced a slightly weaker start than the firm expected. The CEO noted that the Sonic IP sells more during the holiday period, and that's where 90% of the title marketing costs will be spent. When asked about the lower than expectation sales during an investing Q&A, they highlight that the competition the title faced as release, with Super Mario Bros. Wonder launching 3 days after Sonic Superstar. We believe that the impact of another company's major title release at the same time is significant, but we plan to expand the promotion towards the holiday season, especially in the overseas market, as the CEO said. Both the Metacritic scores and user scores are higher than Sonic Frontiers, and we would like to continue sell firmly. So the fact that Sonic Superstars did not meet expectations in October and all is I wouldn't say it's completely shocking or anything like that. It was going up against really two heavy hitters, to be exact: Super Mario Bros. Wonder and Spider-Man 2 also. But I also think it kind of highlights a problem I think Sega has had with Sonic for quite some time. It's not that I don't think every Sonic game is necessarily bad, but the quality for the titles aren't really there compared to where it is with the Mario titles in general, which over the years and over the decades, though, the quality certainly has been there for those titles. Granted, not every Mario title is perfect, and not every title will appeal to everybody, but Mario games are known for their quality in terms of their gameplay and everything like that, and Sonic, unfortunately, is remembered for certainly a lot of misfires to a certain degree. While there are certainly good Sonic titles, particularly the 2D ones, though, 3D has been kind of mixed. I'm talking about before Sonic Frontier comes out. I'm talking about titles like Sonic the Hedgehog, the 2006 on PS3 and 360, Shadow the Hedgehog, which has gotten mixed response to, Sonic Boom, Rise of the Lyrics, and also the titles themselves don't have the same kind of quality as a Mario title or anything like that. That's not to say the brand isn't recognizable. I mean, look how well the first two Sonic the Hedgehog movies did at the box office and all. And Sonic Mania, people do like that title, to be exact. And supposedly Sonic Frontier certainly did very well for Sega and everything like that. I think some of it is because the quality isn't there for a Sonic title, and I think the other problem is obviously being released close to Super Mario Bros. Wonder was probably not the smart move on their part. Maybe having it released a month or two after, like during the holidays and all, might have been a better choice for them than having it to compete against basically Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which Mario certainly is way more unrecognizable, and obviously let's not forget the movie may have helped that as well. So overall, it's not surprising to hear that there were weak sales for Sonic Superstars, and it really isn't surprising that perhaps maybe releasing it close to Super Mario Bros. Wonder and Spider-Man 2 was probably not the smartest idea for Sega and everything like that. It will be interesting to say, it'll be interesting to see how the game does during the holidays and all. Maybe it might do well during the holidays and everything like that. But hopefully Sega will reevaluate how they release a Sonic game going forward in terms of finding the right release calendar for that game, to be exact. Maybe have Sonic games released during the holidays, since it might be a better option than what they did this year in October, releasing it close to Super Mario Bros. Wonder and all. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about PlayStation signing this deal with this Korean developers, the ones that are working on the upcoming Stellar Blade game, as a second-party studio? Do you think this is a smart move on Sony's part? Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think Stellar Blade is going to be a good game in any way? What are your thoughts about the report about the possibility that Free Radical could be closed, especially with this update from Embracer Group? Do you think that Free Radical will be closed? Do you think it will get the chopping block? And do you think it's possible that they may sell the TimeSplitter license or give up on it in any way? What are your thoughts about the statement from the CFO and, of course, Phil Spencer in regarding Game Pass in general? Do you think it's possible that they could one day put Game Pass on a PlayStation system or a Nintendo system? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think there may be differences between how Game Pass will run on a PlayStation and Nintendo system compared to an Xbox or a PC in any way? Or do you think it's unlikely going to happen, especially considering the recent comments Phil Spencer made? And what do you thought about the weaker than expected sales for Sonic Superstars, though? Do you think that some of this may have been that the brand isn't as recognizable as Mario is? Do you think it was probably not a smart move to release it in October, around 3 days before Super Mario Bros. Wonder came out? Do you think the game will do well during the holidays in any way? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal me, Patreon, or Steam Labs. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!